Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be trying to create a use cache custom hook. So the use case will be of that hook would be like whenever you're fetching any kind of data and you would like to cache the data for some time or some period of time, you can use this hook. So just I'll give you an example. Like suppose here, I'm making an API call fetch data. I'm doing repeatedly and it doesn't make sense since there is no change of the data. And So yeah, that's what we'll be doing in this video. Let me just show you what we already have. We have a basic code written for data loading. We're calling fetch data, set loading true, API, make an API call, handle the error as well as loading, as well as call the function. So we'll be creating a custom hook. And by the way, you can connect this use cache hook and logic with the use fetch hook, which I created in one of the videos in this playlist. So you can check that out as well. But I want to keep things simple. So I'll be just using use cache with the fetch function only. So anyway, let me create the cache hook. So the logic will be simple. We'll be creating a function timestamp and we'll be putting the data based on a timestamp. Like suppose first time we'll be making an API call. We'll store that data based on some custom logic which we'll write. And after some set interval has been passed, and if the data doesn't, the data's expiry has happened, we'll again make the API call. Otherwise, what will happen in the set interval, in the interval between the data expiry has not happened, then we'll just be returning the cache response so that we'll be avoiding making extra API calls. If it was not clear, just follow me till this end of this video. It should be clear. So first of all, let me write a function which is going to be for calculating the timestamp. This will be a simple function. Now for the use cache, we need to have some custom hooks. We need to have some interfaces also to declare the types. So I'm using generics here. And generics is quite simple. I would suggest to check out some of my previous videos where I've explained in more detail. But you can imagine for now is like generics is mostly like you don't need to write this function for different types like number, boolean, etc. Just for one type it works fine. And it helps you to give the types also from the place where you're consuming. Like the data type will be coming from the app.tsx. I'll show you when I use it. Anyway, data will be one type, timestamp also. Then another will be cache, which will nothing be a query, string, and cache data. So as you can see from the structure, we'll be having a local storage. We'll be storing query. The key will be the query, which will be the addition of the timestamp as well as the data. Sorry, it will be just I think the query only, the key which will be passing, and the time data will be the combination of date and timestamp. And it will become clear. Like query key is basically the key which will be making the API call with. Okay, I'll show in the local storage editor later just now. Anyways, let me now come back here, use cache. So like I mentioned to you, I need to use generics here. So it will be T, comma, it will take key as string and expiration in seconds. Let me create a cache. This will be persisted across renders. So I'll be using useRef to be json.parse. local storage dot get item. The key will be the cache key for our cache. It can be anything, any random key like cache or whatever. I'll be using something similar there also when I use it in app.tsx file. Anyways, key and then to be an empty object to handle the JSON parsing error. So useref, I need to give it a type also. So I think it should be cache t. Yeah, and couple of functions we need to create will be one will be set cache. Obviously, like how we have for local storage, also set item, set cache, get cache. So it will take query string data, and data will be the t, like I mentioned to you previously. Function get cache will be taking the query and will return t or null if the item is not present for some reason or if expiration has happened. Anyways, we need to first of all get the timestamp. Going to get current timestamp. Then we need to in the cache dot current dot uh maybe having cache dot current dot query. We'll be having the data timestamp as the object. Then we'll just save it to the local storage dot set item g json dot stringify cache dot current. And I'll do one thing, I'll do console.log cache current to see what is there in the cache. Otherwise, when we're trying to get the cache value, we just need to call cached data equal to cache.current query. So what will happen is like will be first of all when this hook gets initiated, it will take it from the local storage if the API call was made previously, and if it was made, then it will just take it from the timestamp and see whether the timestamp matches or not, and we can return the response. So in that way, even if you do refreshes, it will work fine if the expiration is quite long time. So hence, if cache data is there, we just take data equal to cache dot current query, and we'll check if the get current timestamp minus the timestamp which is present here. Okay, I needed to destructure it also. Sorry about that. Data, comma, timestamp. Save. Where should be here. Timestamp. If it's less than expiration in seconds, the cache expiration time which we had set previously. If it is, then we return the data. Otherwise, our cache is expired, that means, and we need to delete the cache entry. Cache.current query. And we need to set the storage also with the new entries. If it's getting confusing, don't worry, I'll just explain you by the end of this video once more. And anyway, we need to handle the error scenario also, that if cache data is not there for some reason. So this should work fine. Now we need to return get cache and set cache. Get cache, set cache. Come back here, call use cache, pass it the generic type user. We need to pass the cache key, the name of the cache. I just put cache. Duration, I'll put maybe 3600. I think it was in seconds, so it will maybe expire in 1 hour. So const, we need to destructure get cache and set cache from the use cache hook. And we need to basically call set cache when we are making the API call. I think here. And we need to pass the query key, which will be the API string in our case, which you already declared the top, and the data as well. We need to set it. And we don't need to make an API call every time. We need to put this fetch condition inside an if and else block. So if something scenario, let me first write the else here. So for if scenario, what will be is like, we'll be checking if we just call get cache with the API query and see if it has the cache data for some reason. If cache data is there, then we don't need to perform an API call. So if the cache data is there, we'll just do set data from cached and set loading will be false. So this should work fine, I guess. Let us see first everything works fine or not. Let me refresh it, clear it, make an API call fetch data once. For afterwards, it's not happening. API calls are not happening. Let me go to the application, local storage. Let us see cache is there and API is there as well as the value data ID timestamp. So after, for me, currently I've set 1 hour. So after 1 hour, it should expire, and based on that, we can check it again. And refreshing, I think, yeah, refreshing also now. Where is the network call? If I do fetch data, it will not make an API call, as I told previously. So if things were not clear, I would suggest check out the video first from start if it was not at all clear. But otherwise, for the use cache part, what we're doing is basically is like we're setting the cache and getting the cache. Why I'm doing having a use ref is otherwise, since local storage is not doesn't give us a very friendly React friendly API. So that's why either I would have to create a use local storage hook, or otherwise I could have used cache. So I went with this cache. Maybe in another video I'll create use local storage. Maybe that time you could use local storage instead of creating use ref. But otherwise, what's happening is like use ref is the place, the cache which has been in the memory is the place where we are setting it and getting data. For setting data, we are basically storing in the local storage also. But for getting data, we are just first checking if it's within the time range expiration. Then we're just returning the data. If it is not, then we're deleting the entry from the cache current, and then we are just setting the data for some reason. So I think that's what we are doing. So we have multiple, one second. Yeah, we should have multiple keys because of that reason. API 1, 2, 3. Suppose if I make this to 2, save, go back, now make an API call. It became 2. Now we have one more entry 2. Similarly, if I go back and make it, and I think the network request also something went, yeah, two. But again, if I come back and if I refresh it and make it one, save, refresh, clear, fetch data, no API call. Anyway, you can experiment with this use cache hook. So I think that was it for this video, and hope to see you in other videos as well. And bye.